Welcome, everybody, to the Winner Circle Sports Betting Channel. It is Wednesday, August the 30th, and I'm joined by my two cohorts again today, Mr. Jesse Schule of jesseschule.com and gamblersworld.net, Mr. Sean Higgs of winningfreepicks.com and gamblersworld.net. I'm Ross Benjamin, your host, and you can find me over at gamblersworld.net or my own personal website, rbwins.com. We are brought to you by Gamblers World, our sponsor. And speaking of Gamblers World, if you go there, gamblersworld.com, gamblersworld.net, either site, if you go there, there's an NFL pick'em contest that we're running, and you can get right into that prior to the NFL season consummating. And some pretty good things there, folks. It costs you absolutely zero. That's right. It's free to enter. That's all you have to do is go to the page, click on the icon there or the image there for the NFL Pick'em contest, register, and you're set to go. You pick straight up winners every week on every game in the NFL. At the end of the year, the first place winner will get a minimum guaranteed prize of $500. The second place winner will get up to around $450 and all the way down to fourth place with a $150 guarantee there. And if you have a perfect card or a perfect week, I should say, in the NFL, you pick every game and you win every game. It's $100 progressive per week. So if it happens in week 6 and nobody else has done that, you're going to get $600. Not bad. Straight up, too. I think we'll all get in it as well. In any event, Jesse, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Ross. Really excited about tomorrow's college football games, in particular that Utah-Florida game.
Yeah, myself as well. I got to pick up right at Gamblers World right now on that game, so you want to check that out. And don't forget, folks, when you buy picks from us, whether it be daily, single game, multi-game daily packages, or any subscription plan of 30 days or less, you
I didn't hit the mute when I sneezed.
I was going to do it live. I forgot to instead, so we just got the sound.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, Sean spends way too much time by himself all day in his office, and when he has an opportunity to get attention to himself, he does it very well. He's starting to remind me of somebody else. Anyway, I'm going to leave that alone.
I hit
that.
See, folks. When I'm by myself, I just hit the mute and leave the cam going because I'm like, if I take the cam off, the people are like, where do you go? I'll just sneeze or cough. I'll just put the mute on and drink. Well, Jesse knows. Whatever.
Yeah.
It happens. We're humans. We're real people.
Otherwise, how are you doing, Sean?
I was fine. So you just humiliated me. I know I was in trouble. As soon as I was off camera and Jesse started laughing.
That's a hard thing to do. Holy cow. So anyway.
That's the least of my concerns, sneezing.
Just a friendly reminder, folks. Last day, last call. $100 off all football subscription plans. So you want to go to Gamblers World right now and get off $100 off any NFL, college football, or a combination of NFL, college football package from any of the handicappers at our site, which we have 10 great ones. You could do so by going there today, and that expires at midnight tonight. So don't miss that special offer over at Gamblers World as well. All right, guys, we're getting into tomorrow. We start college football week 1. And Sean, any thoughts after what we saw last week? Any thoughts that come to your mind off the top of your head to address for college football week 1?
Well, I'm going to say this about NFL week 2 after you see week 1. Overreactions. We saw a handful of games. Some against not good competition.
You mentioned NFL. It's college football.
I know, but this is also going forward when we talk about like NFL in week 1 to week 2. Like we saw a couple teams. We saw San Jose and USC. We'll see them again this week. Like, are you going to take everything from that and be like, well, this is going to happen in this game? That doesn't mean anything. You know, it's a nice week. It's I come out firing games, but you still have to adjust to what you see in the first couple weeks of the season. Like one game doesn't make it, right? At least for me. I want to see a little bit before I really start pounding away, I guess would be the way I look at it, but nothing spectacular there. It is what it was. A couple tough losses. It happens. Welcome to sports betting.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of tough losses, I went 0-2 yesterday and missed by a mile on both picks, but still red hot over at gamblersworld.net. And Jesse, we're always transparent on this channel, and I know you are as well. Bring us up to speed, my friend.
Just one game yesterday. It was a 1-0 victory for the Cubs. I had the Cubbies there. Sean's a big Cubbies fan still, I hope. Anyways,
yes.
what you guys were talking about earlier about overreacting to the results of week one, I couldn't agree more. Old pros have taught me early on in my career that betting based on last week's results in football, whether it's pro or college, is a recipe for disaster. You have to factor in the entire compass of what's going on, and just what happened with that recency bias and what happened last week is fool's gold. So it's something for the viewers to really keep in mind, that not to jump to any conclusions based on 1 week's action.
Yeah, that's a real good advice, because that especially is applicable to the NFL. As Sean, I think that's the direction he was going, is when you see results 1 week in the NFL, you can't have a real short memory, folks. Everybody remembers what happens the week before. Guys like us remember what's happened several weeks before and what's going on several weeks going forward, and concentrating on the line. So if we saw everything that went on last week, the odds makers certainly did too, and they're adjusting as well. So keep that all in mind, folks, because having a short memory on what just happened and handicapping in that manner will send you to bankruptcy real quickly. In any event, let's get to the games we're going to talk about today. Sean's going to be talking about Old Dominion and Virginia Tech, who he let me know yesterday he wasn't too happy with that assignment, but I'm sure he's going to win that game for us. Jesse, who never complains, is taking Washington State in the Colorado State game. He'll let us know, and I'll be looking at TCU in Colorado, the debut of Neon Dion. But all kidding aside, Sean, Old Dominion, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech opens 14. They're up to 16. A lot of money going Virginia Tech's way. And I think a lot of that is based on the fact they lost to Old Dominion last year on the road.
Yes. In fact, they've lost the last 2 out of 3 they've lost to Old Dominion. But, I was just – not that I was complaining. That's not really – it is – like, I know about you guys. I look at the card because I do a lot. And some days I'll just be like, not interested, right? And I just fly past games, and there's a couple that just stick out and I'll jump into. This was one I'd be like, what do I want to do with this game? Old Dominion, what do we have going on here? This is a kind of a rebuilding squad. I mean, Virginia Tech, what happened? This team used to be good. I mean, 1 double-digit win since like 2010. Terrible. I was gonna go under here. I kind of like the under, but for the show, I'm gonna take the 16 points here. Can we get? Was it 16 now? Up to?
Yeah.
Give me the points with Old Dominion. I have no real love for Hokie offense, and at least with Old Dominion, I have a new quarterback, but I also have his offensive coordinator. Both coming down. Again, it's Fordham. It's Fordham quarterback and Fordham offense coordinators. Not we're getting some excellent, crazy offense coming in here, averaging 55 points a game. But I got some continuity. I got a guy in the system who knows what he's kind of doing. And you played these guys well. And it's a big rebuilding year for Old Dom. I mean, what am I going to say? Got 4 starters back on offense, 3 on defense. But I'll take the points, and I'm also going to lean a little bit to the under here. I just don't see Virginia Tech. Long way to go. What's there to say? It's not that they were mighty, but wow.
Yeah,
you've lost to Old Dominion 2 of the last 3 years, 2 of the last 4 years. Remember, 2 of the last 3 games. I think it was over the last 4 years. Crazy. That's ridiculous. Should not happen.
Yeah, especially Old Dominion being a fairly new program in Division I. I mean, they've been around for a while now, but in comparison,
I mean, basketball. One thing you want to take Old Dominion in basketball. I'm all for that mid-major. Let's go. I'll sign them up against anybody in the ACC. I'll take a bunch of points to Old Dominion. Football.
Yeah. Fordham was a very successful FCS program, or has been, I should say. And that quarterback's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a better surrounding cast in terms of athletes. Now, how that translates against Division I competition, we'll see. We've seen other quarterbacks from FCS step up into the FBS ranks and do very well. But that's a good point to bring up. And Jesse, if you're looking at this from a contrarian standpoint and an anti-public standpoint, you almost, if you're one of those guys, you're probably going to lean toward Old Dominion. But how much does revenge come into play here? Is it going to be enough? Is this an overvalued Virginia Tech team at this number?
I like the total, to be honest with you. My focus would be on that total under 48. Like Sean said, this is one of those games that you look at it and you think, no, thank you. But with the new faces and adjusting to a new quarterback, new coach, and with the new rules, I mentioned that in our last show, and we didn't really see evidence that the new rules forced a lot of unders in week 0. I believe the unders went 4-3 on the Saturday slate. So that's hardly evidence that, we're going to see a bunch of unders. But I saw a few things in some of those games that led me to believe that that clock is going to get chewed up a lot more throughout the game, and it's going to affect that number at the tail end of things. So especially in these numbers hovering close to 50 between two teams that aren't exactly going to air it out on every down, I'll lean toward the under for sure.
Yeah. All right. So Sean likes Old Dominion plus the 16, and he's got a small lean toward under 48. Jesse also has an opinion on the under 48 as well. Sean, before we get on to the next game with Jesse, Jesse makes a good point. And what I have noticed, yes, the results were pretty level last week when it came to over and unders. There was only 7 games, like Jesse pointed out. However, I'm seeing a lot lower numbers than we're accustomed to in college football, and I'm sure that has to do with the rules. I mean, we're looking at a lot of numbers in the 40s last week and even this week that I would say prior to the rule change would be in the low 50s. Yes or no?
Yeah, I definitely think they chopped off a couple points for each team, no matter how good or bad their projections would be. And it's just you kind of saw it in the Notre Dame game, like the time it took to get down the field. That's going to add a minute or two off of the clock.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. It's really basic kind of math there. You see it. And we saw it.
I felt like it chewed up like what there should have been one more possession, one more drive in that first half of that Notre Dame game.
But that's what I'm saying. For every drive, you're talking about a minute. Say if it's a minute or two per possession, right? Or not. When I say possession, I mean like their entire, whatever it is, 16 plays or 7, however long. If every team's going to get another possession, you're talking 10 minutes minimum. That just run off the clock in the game. That's a big chunk of time, I think. Right? I mean, add it up, it takes. Yeah, some teams are going to milk that. Other teams are going to want to kind of press it. But then when you're going to press it, you're going to run a bad play.
Yeah. Well, in that Notre Dame game, too, there was no quick strike touchdowns from the Irish. It was plotting their way down the field, short passing game, power running game. And then, of course, we know what Navy does. They're going to run the triple option to death. They pride themselves on long time-consuming drives. And there's going to be some, I'm predicting there's going to be some 12 and 13-minute drives this year for service academies, a successful one anyway, with the type of offense they run. So all good stuff. Jesse, any more you want to add to that?
Yeah, I will say that there was 3 games that went over in week 0. And I believe that all 3 of those games that went over required a ton of points being scored in the fourth quarter to get there.
I'm looking at that right now. The UMass game had 48 points scored in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I think all 3 of those games heading into the fourth quarter looked pretty good to go under.
Yeah.
And
USC
they went over
had
anyways.
a ton of points in the second half. They scored 35 points in the second half.
Yeah.
Maybe the plays here in these early season.
First half unders.
Yeah. I look at these things.
I can't say the thought didn't cross my mind, Sean.
I mean, just because it's a combination of getting accustomed to the new time, it's your first game or two. game speed, all that other kind of stuff. A lot of non-conference guys you don't usually play, kind of nonsense. Travel, new spots. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves there. Short of that FIU game, who had a couple, I think they broke a run for like 70 yards or something that game. He had some.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, that game, it ended 22-17, and it was 17-13 at the half. Come on.
And there was a lot of explosive plays in the fourth quarter, that USC game. If I recollect correctly, one was a kick return, right? Again, all good points, guys, and all stuff the bettors and you viewers and subscribers out there should be aware of. Speaking of which, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel and you're watching on your PC, you'll see a WC button right there in the bottom right-hand corner of your page. Or video box, I should say. Just click on that. It'll get you subscribed. If you're on your mobile device, which most of you are, there's a black subscribe button underneath the video box. Click on that, and you'll be subscribed. And take the extra step, folks, too. Not only is it free to subscribe, if you go into your YouTube settings and click that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel, you'll be notified immediately upon us releasing any podcast here on our channel. All right, let's get to Jesse's game, which is Washington State and Colorado. Jesse, big line move here. I mean, Washington State, as I recall, opened up around a 15.5-point favorite. It's now down to 11. The total's 50.5. What do you got for us on this one?
Well, I'm going to pick up right where we left off, talking about those unders, and I'm going to look at the under 54.5. Like you said with the line move, originally I was looking at this thinking I'll take the home dog, but after that line move, that sucks a lot of that value out of there. But regarding the total and what we were talking about, generally I'm looking for more pro-style offenses, teams that are going to run the ball, triple option teams to fit this mold of chewing up the clock and going under based on the new rules. These two teams don't fit that mold. They want to pass. They want to sling it around the yard. That being said, you can't pass it on every down when your quarterback's getting sacked. And this game could be a sack fest. I think both these quarterbacks, these teams did play last year. Wazoo won 38-7. It was a sack fest last year. I believe both quarterbacks were sacked 7 times. The Rams quarterback, Clay Millen, was sacked 53 times in just 10 games last year. That's pretty. I don't know if anybody was sacked more than that, but if they were, I'd feel sorry for them. And Cam Ward was sacked a Pac-12 worst 46 times last year. So obviously some leaky offensive lines, pass protection suffering. I think as much as these teams want to pass, they're going to be forced to incorporate the run. And of course, sacks will chew up the clock as well. Cam Ward threw for 3,231 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 9 picks last year, but he lost his top 4 wide receivers. As far as I'm concerned, the offensive line is still the biggest weakness on this team, and I think that will prevent them from running up the score. 54.5 is a pretty decent-sized number, considering it was 38-7 last year, and given the new rules, I will go under 54.5.
All right, Washington State, Colorado State, under 54.5 from Jesse Schule. And again, Sean likes Old Dominion plus 16 over Virginia Tech. And he also has a small lean toward the under 48 in that game. And Jesse says his opinion is he likes that small lean on the under 48 as well. All right, I'm going to take a look. Anyway, Sean, anything on this game that you like to comment on? I'm sorry.
No, you know what? I this line opened at 16 and went to 14. It's 12. It's 11. Obviously at a higher number, I would like the home dog here. But going over last year's offense for this team, 17, 17, 17, 13, 12, a 37 at UNLV, 10, 13, 19, 7, as we mentioned, against Washington State here opening. They scored 31 versus Colorado. This team hasn't scored more than 19 points versus anybody. Like, where's the offense coming from here? Wow. Yeah, that lean under here. I agree with Jesse. Go under.
All right, so there you have it. Sean agrees with the under 54.5 in that game. So I don't have a lot to add in terms of that matchup. It's not a game that I plan on using. I don't like how big a line move we saw in this game. there's something fishy and something up there. I mean, I can't make a case for Colorado State. Apparently, a lot of sharp or just big public bettors can make a case, and there might be an underlying factor that I'm not aware of, and that's a possibility.
Well,
too.
the quarterback for them last year was, I think he got sacked 50 times or something last year.
Yeah, Jesse just said that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and his completion percentage was still pretty good. So if he could stay upright,
72.2% completion percentage. It's in my notes.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention it, but yeah, he's got potential if he can. If they can keep him
exactly. I mean, you complete 70% of your passes, and half the time you're on your back.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you should probably generate some more points there.
Be intriguing. That's a game I'm certainly going to be interested in watching. I see how good Washington State is. Can they be a contender in the Pac-12? We'll see. Can Colorado State get their program turned around, Sean?
I'm going to have to say this because I actually had this written up on Gamblers World because I have a 14, or 13.5 on Gamblers World, 14 on Winner for Picks of taking Colorado State here, and I mentioned that. So that won't be selling, folks. You can have it. That's a big premium play because you'll be reading and be like, he said exactly what Jesse said, and he's selling Jesse's picks. No, great minds think alike. Great minds think alike.
That'd be the day.
Yeah, right? It is.
I wrote the same thing in my write-up. It says the guy, if he's upright, should be able to generate some points.
Yeah. So in you guys' two cases, geniuses think alike. Even though I know genius is a word that Sean has not been used to throwing it his way.
Yeah,
but,
the guy. Instead of hitting the mute button, let me just take the camera so I could sneeze right into my microphone. That'd be great. That's what genius.
Evil genius. I just thought of a perfect Halloween costume for Sean.
There we go.
All kidding aside, these two guys are great handicappers, and their record speaks for himself. And again, folks, that $100 off the football subscription plans. It'll last until midnight tonight. Sean Higgs, 64% in the NFL last year with over 200 picks. And Jesse Schule, 18-2 September in the NFL. Was it, Jesse, or college football?
College football was 18-2. It was 30-5 with college and NFL combined.
Wow, that's a great start. I was 23-12 in the NFL in the month of September. The last 2 years, that's pale in comparison to the numbers I just mentioned. So there you go, folks. All three of us, you can get $100 off right now. NFL, college football, NFL, college football combined, whatever you prefer. We'll make you money. All you have to do is invest it. Gamblersworld.net. All right, let me get to my game, which is Colorado at TCU, noon Eastern time. Right now, TCU, 20.5-point favorite. The total is 64. This game will be televised nationally by Fox, and it's comes with a lot of hype, as it will be the debut of Neon Deion Sanders as the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes. And, I think, be honest with you, I'm getting really tired of the hype. I'm interested to hear what these guys have to say, because as I look at it right now, with 24 transfers coming in and a bevy of players that transferred out immediately upon the naming of Deion Sanders as the head coach, the continuity between coaches and players, I don't think a lot is being made of that, and it should, because I don't care who Deion Sanders is, and Hall of Famer or not, he's still got to have the players to win. And he's still got to develop continuity and a culture to win. And I'm not so sure that won't happen, but I am pretty sure it's going to be some growing pains early on. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to tip my hat to him, and I'll be the first one to come on air and say I'm wrong. But this is still a Colorado team last year, even with all the turnover. And I get it, it's a different team, but they went 1-11 straight up and 2-10 against the spread last year. They finished the year 0-4 straight up in ATS, and they lost by an average of 41.5 points per game. They allowed 38 points in 11 of 12 games last year. Again, you want to change the culture. You want to change those types of results. I just can't believe it's going to happen overnight. TCU, now they lost a ton of players from last year's 13-2 team that advanced to the national championship game, where they were crushed by Georgia 65-7. However, this is a TCU team that's won. They were 5-0 straight up and 4-1 against the spread at home last year versus FBS opponents. They're on an 8-game home winning streak dating back to the end of 2021. And this is a TCU team that walloped Colorado last year 38-13, and they'll be under second-year head coach Sonny Dykes. How successful can you possibly be in your first year at a school as head coach than Sonny Dykes was last year, regardless of that championship blowout loss? In any event, any game one non-conference away underdog in college football of 14.5-30, like Colorado will be, they won one game or less the year before. They're playing with revenge, which they are 3-9 against the spread, 0-12 straight up. Losing by 29.1 points per game with an average line of 23. I'm going to go, and again, folks, this isn't going to be one of my premium plays, but I'm going to buck all the hype of Deion Sanders, and I'm going to lay the 20.5 with Colorado, or with TCU in this game over Colorado. Sean?
I got to say, I think you mentioned 24 transfers. I looked the other day, it was 50 because he just had a dozen from the SEC alone, and another 10 from the ACC, and 14 from the FCS lower level. Okay. I mean, you can't have over, and that's just guys coming in. Forget about guys leaving. The turnover is crazy. Now, your old spot, you could dominate because you have guys who should be playing big school D1 in the FBS, but you have a handful of those guys at the FCS level. You're gonna look really good. Yeah, good luck. You're not pulling that off in the Pac-12, the Big Ten, the AC, wherever you are. You can't just have a handful of decent guys. I don't care if they're from Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Texas. They left there for a reason. This is big stage. You don't think every team's going to want to come in here and want to crush you and I like prime time. I get, you got the whole, I get it, but yeah, that don't fly. People don't like that kind of stuff. And TCU, their quarterback, Chandler Morris, he was a starter last year, got pulled. I mean, so it's not like they didn't have faith in this guy. He was just had a bad game. Like, let's throw the other guy in. Because TCU, I think the year before that, he was like 4 quarterbacks. They were all over the place. I'll lay it. I'll lay it at 20, 21.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be close. I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, anything you want to add to that? I mean, again, so I could be clear.
I got plenty to add.
I don't have anything personal against Deion Sanders. I'm only commenting on the fact that I think it's an overhyped situation, and asking this program to make an abrupt turnaround, especially early in the season, is a big ask. And I don't know if it's realistic. Jesse, what do you think?
Surprised neither one of you mentioned Nebraska, because if you think of teams that brought in a ton of transfers and tried to turn things over just like that, last year's Nebraska team is a good example of that. Now, it was highly unsuccessful. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I don't buy into hype myself, regardless of what sport, any kind of betting on sports for me. I'm not a hype guy. I always fade hype, and I'm a show me guy until I've seen it myself. I'm not a believer. That said, it should surprise nobody that I'm going to lean on the under in this game. And one of the reasons I will say that is Sean talked about, you guys talked about how the numbers seem to be creeping lower for these week 1 games based on the new rules. Not in this game. It's been bet up from 59.5 to 64.5. And I see a ton of value there. Sean mentioned Chandler Morris, who was not great in this game last year at Colorado. And you look at that game last year, they didn't even really throw the ball around that much, perhaps because Morris wasn't playing that well, but they had a significant advantage with their offensive line dominating. And that's the concern for me with this Colorado team. Sure, they brought in all these high profile transfers, but they've got stacked offense and corners and secondary. I'm not sure how much work they did on their lines and how effective they're going to be at the line of scrimmage, especially against an upper level Big 12 team. I think that the advantage for TCU, especially, and Chandler Morris is a guy who didn't perform well last year. You got a new offense. That's another thing. New offensive coordinator. I think the Horned Frogs are going to miss the offensive coordinator more than they're going to miss any personnel that's out the door, player personnel, that is. and you got this quarterback who struggled last year, you're trying to break him in. Do you really want him chucking it at a Deion Sanders coach secondary when you don't have to? If your offensive line can dominate, you can grind out this game on the ground, which is exactly what they did last year. And I see no reason for them to repeat that. And like I said, 64.5, that's a rather swollen number given the new rules in college football. So it's a clear underbet for me.
All right. Jesse makes a compelling case for the under 64 in this game as well. But our official picks, Sean Higgs likes Old Dominion plus the 16 at Virginia Tech with a small lean toward the under 48 in that game. Jesse Schule likes the under 54.5 in the Washington State Colorado game. Yours truly, Ross Benjamin, he's going to take TCU minus 20.5 over Colorado. Gentlemen, let's tell the folks what we got coming up. We're getting close to the weekend, and tomorrow is Thursday, and that's when the college football week starts. I'll start with you, Sean.
All right, 3 in 1 day SAM baseball, not too shabby. 14 college football up for Gamblers World coming here in week 1. 8 NFL, and what else is there to say? Last year NFL September 29-17, 63%. College football 45-36 out of the door, 56% for the month. So more of the same.
There you go. Sean Higgs. You can find him over at gamblersworld.net. You can find him at winningfreepicks.com. Don't forget, you can get his football subscription plans, any one of them, for $100 off until midnight tonight, folks. Take advantage of it. Jesse, what do you got going on, my friend?
Well, those who followed me last football season were probably familiar with my yellow tight outfit and my blonde wig, Mr. Perfect costume. Those who listen to me on this show might think I need to trade that costume in for a dark overcoat and some Undertaker music. I might be trading in Mr. Perfect for the Undertaker here in week 1, but look forward to a successful week 1 card, and come see me at gamblersworld.net and jesseschule.com.
There you go, folks. Jesse Schule over at gamblersworld.net. Jesse also does his own videos every day. Short 4 to 5 minute video, just giving you a free pick on a daily basis. You can find some of those up at gamblersworld.com. Also, Sean, Midday Money, and that's every day, noon Eastern time, live. And speaking of live, folks, Friday's show will be live for the first time. We're going to do a Winner's Circle sports betting podcast live, and you're going to be able to comment. A lot of you like to comment on our archives, and that's we're internally grateful for that. But now you're going to get an opportunity to comment live and ask us questions on Friday, whether it be for the week 1 college football card, whether it be for a betting strategy, or whether an early look at the NFL week 1 card, which we're going to be all discussing that as well. So plenty of opportunity there, folks. You don't want to miss it. It'll be Friday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Of course, if you can't make it, all of our shows are on archive at our channel, sports betting channel. So Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. Oh, too many names to put together. Don't forget our NFL Progressive Contest. And until the next time, for Ross Benjamin, Jesse Schule, and Sean Higgs, take care and God bless, folks.
Smash that like.